This is a video of the June 2017 trip that 5 of us took up to the Sequoia Forest up northeast of Bakersfield. Starting from Simi Valley here through the pass over to Fillmore, up the 5 towards Bakersfield, and then up into the oil fields northeast of Bakersfield, and then up into the Sequoia Forest, and spent some time going through a loop at Evans Flat campground, and then ended up on a dead-end road on Basket Pass, and back down through the valley towards Isabella Lake, up through Kernville, up along the Kern River, and back up into the mountains towards the Sequoia Forest and Trail of 100 Giants, over the ridge into the fog, back down to our camp place at Coy Flat near Camp Nelson, through the corner of the Indian Reservation up to see the big sequoia trees, and back down to the same road we had come up on, and then back over to Parker Pass, and heading back home towards Bakersfield.
Morning.
This is Mike's house first thing in the morning, the meeting at the gas station with Fabio, Sean, Mike, and myself. And over at the pass through Moore Park, a little bit of water in the river here, which is pretty unusual to see. And stopped at the Grapevine at Denny's on the way up into Bakersfield. This is through the oil fields in Bakersfield area, and then into the foothills of the Sequoia Forest. And then finally off onto some dirt roads on Ranchero Road. Also, Dave is on this trip. I neglected to mention his name. This is Fabio and his new Africa twin. We'll pass some cows here. Very foggy trip. It fogged off and on through the entire weekend. Had a neat loop road here through Evans Flat campground. And pretty muddy, and it rained quite a bit in the prior months, so we got a little slippery here. Nobody went down too hard. I think Mike got a little muddy, but I got stuck here. It's a nice, fun loop back in the woods. This is Fabio throwing the tail out. Well, it is not fun. It's just like riding on ice. Sean in front of me here.
Whoa.
Really a nice ride through this loop. Sean had spotted a deer up in the woods.
Woo.
Little excitement in the mud again. This is about 2.5 hours from home, so pretty accessible for a weekend trip. A lot of trees down in here that had been removed from the trail. A little bit later on we'll end up getting stuck by a tree on one of the fire roads, but this pass was clear. So we continued over the ridge. This is the road that should have given us a clue. It was overgrown. It's a pretty good clue that there's a problem up ahead, and just around this corner we discovered it. You see the grass getting heavier and heavier. Then a tree was down across the road here, so we had to turn back. This is Basket Pass Road. The deer off in the distance here.
Big one.
So we had to backtrack back up to the main trail, and then ended up just riding over the ridge back down into Lake Isabella area. Eventually back down in towards Kernville. Sean took turns and Mike with Fabio riding the new Africa twin, comparing notes here. But he was pretty impressed. This is back down the paved road back towards the lake. You can see the lake off in the distance here. We came into Kernville. You can see the flood here. The Kern River was very high because of all the rains that the area had had. A lot of people had been killed in the river. You can see why here on the left as you go back up the canyon. Very dangerous. Very pretty as well with the high water flow. You can see coming over the spillway here. We're riding up the canyon north of Lake Isabella, and back up over the ridge towards the Trail of 100 Giants. This is towards the Sequoia Forest again. up north of Johnsondale. And we stopped to take a little hike here. Dave had a incident with a can of chili in his bag, so he's not in this particular picture, but we toured for about a half hour by these big sequoia trees. Really cool. And then got back on the road heading north. Got back into some very heavy fog. A lot of water flowing in the waterfalls down the mountains from all the snow melt. And back into the Camp Nelson area nearby where we camped.
Hey guys.
Little critters here. So we picked up some supplies at the general store and then camped here at Coy Flat. Really nice campground in the foothills near Camp Nelson. Really nice morning here in the picture. Mike checking out the plan for the day. Really had a nice overnight here. So took off out of the campground and has continued up the hill towards the Indian reservation, up towards the sequoia trees. Before we did that, we stopped for gas. This is the gas station behind the general store on Sunday morning. Self-serve place. And then up the road, that sign said prescribed burn area, so clearing out some of the small trees. And you can see the sequoias standing out with their size compared to everything else. Really spectacular to come around a corner and see one of these guys. Here you get a feel next to these little trees. They're actually big trees. And then a sequoia, just incredible. We crossed into the corner of the Indian reservation, the Tool River Reservation, just for about a quarter mile until we could get back on the main forest road. This is a really neat pass road. A lot of waterfalls, some rock slides as you can see, and some cave-ins, all a result of the rain that the area had had in the last few months. This is a super nice ride. And back onto the main road here, coming back south on Highway 107. And we peeled off again on the forest road towards Parker Pass, got into an area that hadn't quite been opened up yet, so we kind of made our own trail here. A lot of trees down, little water crossings here and there, a lot of fun. And then to come out on these wonderful meadows, really everything was green. It's really nice. This is kind of interesting. I had to duck up ahead to clear this tree for us tall people. Then around a fallen tree here up in the woods. Good practice doing some technical riding over all the branches. This is with all our camp gear, so the bikes are pretty heavy. This is one of the meadows down near the Parker Pass Road. Just beautiful, water everywhere. It's just not like the typical dry California. Everything's greened up and wet, and really fun to come out on these clearings. Here's the Africa Twin getting dirty.
Didn't expect that, huh? Closed to public use, Oh, easy. He turned too fast. All right, Dave.
Mike caught his bag on the back of the corner of that fence. Just barely could fit through here, but this is the end of the Parker Pass Road, and then back on the highway in super heavy fog, descending the hill back towards the Pine Flat area. This is a fun road we've taken a couple times back to the Posey area. It's kind of an open range, so you often see cows back in here. I think this is Capinero Drive, if I'm not mistaken. It comes back out in the oil fields north of Bakersfield. Unfortunately, Fabio lost his license at the gas station when his backpack fell off, so we had to deal with that. It's Pyramid Lake on the way back down the highway, and then just a final picture. A great ride in the Sequoia Forest.